The heading we maintain as optimization in leather process. So optimization means can be chemical, can be cost, or any process. So just we give a common heading as optimization, so that when we started our leather processing, we have to you can optimize so many things in from making the leather till to the end to the ETP. So we have make a common headings so that when we go to the subjects, we can see what are the different ways of optimization. Before going into the presentation, I'd like to introduce myself and my company. As Madam told, that I work for Asia Tan for the last 20 years. I'm the production manager of the tannery. And this tannery is called Asia Tan, also has TechTuff, Asia Tan TechTuff International. And it's located in the city of Jiangmen, Guangdong province in China. So this tannery we produce from wet blue, the finished leather from wet blue. So it's called from tan to finished leather. And we make cow, goat, and split type of leathers, mainly for all international big brands like Nike, Asics, Adidas, and VF Footwear. So production capacity right now is at 24 million square feet. We are running up from 15 to 16 million this year. And we have a workforce of 260 people. And on the environmental head, we are being continuous member of leather working group from 2007, and we are a gold rated tannery. And also for the environmental, we do have an ISO 14000 certified tannery, and we are a member of Leather China Industry Association. And we held a former member executive committee membership and a technical subgroup membership in the LWG, and continuously to be the good partnership with LWG on developing their industries as well as all the environmental aspects. So in my presentation, I would like to make different contents. So the first content I would like to say is simplify the process first and then optimize. So any process, we would like to, first thing is to make our process into a simple way. And when we start to make our process in a simple way, then we can find different ways of optimizing the process. So my first part of presentation is going to be simplification of process and what are the ways we did it to make the process simple. When you do simple, we all compare traditional leather processing. So-called traditional is general practice in the field. It can be, this is what my experience is. I could be, most of the time I visit other tanneries, I can see this. So that I'm taking a rough example. If anybody are using less, it's no harm. It's just a rough idea against what we are trying to do as an Asia Tan leather processing. And if we are using less, and what are the ways we find out and how we optimize into a shorter process. Once we do it, a shorter process, of course, will be less chemicals. And how are this chemical benefiting to the effluent as well as for the cost reduction, and simultaneously for running the tannery with a very well efficient way. So these are my main contents of my presentation. So we would like to go point by point, step by step, and then you can also see the presentation what are the different ways we did. So what does simplification of process means? So leather is done by a process. So we start from wet blue. So I will say that it's a process we starting from wet blue to finish. This presentation is morely towards a wet end and a little bit of finishing at the end. So first we start with a process or formulation of wet from wet blue to rust. We all know, most importantly, leather making is a simple process. Has to be a simple process. And we should make our process into a simple way. It does not go much of complexity. The next question comes, what is simple process? Simple process is basically, we need to define a way of, we need to find a way or to make a process of skeleton to see what are the chemicals to be used how much chemical to be used, and where the chemical should be used. So this is what I define as simplified of process. So in that, when I said we are running for 30 years in Asia, so we are taking some steps from 2012, 13 for optimization of process. So at that time, like any other cannery, we also had numerous amounts of chemicals, many returnings, many fat liquors, dyes, etc., etc. So when we thought of dyes, we really wanted to select what are the chemicals really we need. Do we need so many chemicals? So the first step, what we did is try to check individual chemicals for its character and for its uptake into the leather. So these are the things we started one by one of each chemicals. Once we started to do it, we are able to see that so many chemicals within the range has a lot of duplication. So we had 3 or 4 resins, similar types of retannings, extracts, fillers, etc., like that. So we find out many, if we do the trials in the leather, we can see the similar characters keep coming. So first we thought, okay, let us try to remove the duplication of character of chemicals. So what does a filler does? What does an extract does? At what pH this has to react? What pH, how the leather, at which pH leather absorbs most of the chemical into it. A leather should absorb chemical. We should not be able to fix the chemicals onto the leather. Its maximum absorption should happen. And then by adjusting the pH, we can always do the little bit leftover of chemicals into the leather. So those are the steps we did. Then after we do that, we identify certain number of chemicals. Oh, this is the core chemicals we should start with to identify the core. And then we started to run process by process and see how the same chemical works for splits, how the chemical works for cow, how the chemical, every chemical slightly differs on its character and applies. So that is one way of also looking into the leather. And then once we start to optimize the process and lot list the chemicals, so we need 3 or 4 retannings is good enough. 3 or 4 fibers is good enough. And 1 resin is good enough. So like that, we have shortlisted for our company, for our products. And then we made our chemicals list. And then we also wanted to see, okay, we have seen the leather. So what does this chemicals does to the pollution? Because whatever we try to do, 100% of the chemical doesn't go. The chemicals, active matters can change. So the non-tannins, the ingredients, the salts mixed in the chemicals, everything has to go to the pollution. So we have to take that water and that chemicals into a trial lab and see which chemicals works very well into the leather and what happens if this rest of the chemicals goes to the pollution. So leather making is not only about making leather. Nowadays, pollution comes first. So we always, whenever we choose this chemical, we always choose good chemicals for leather. Simultaneously, we see what this chemical does to our ETP plant. So our tannery has our own ETP plant. We don't send over to common pollution treatment plant. So whatever I have to put into the water, I need to clean it out before I have to send it out to the outlet, the government stream. So we have to be very careful of what we use. So we started to check the chemicals for the leather and also for the pollution. So we have to make our model lab to check each and every chemical. How does it work with the leather, and simultaneously, how does it work in the pollution? If the chemical is not biodegradable in the pollution, it's, even though it's a good thing for leather, we try to eliminate it completely from the system. So over step by step, I can explain you, this is how we started selecting and choosing the chemicals. So while we do this, we come to know that that's a simple process. Less chemicals also can make better leather. So end of the day, we save a lot of money in the cost and shortening the process, which helps us in lead time as well as in making quality leather. So as everybody know, when you do shorter process, there is less cost. And end of the day, easily control work in the pollution plant, which saves in time, energy, and water. So this is a rough idea. So most of the people would accept it, and most of the process in the our leather industry is generally like this. So we start wet blue after shaving, we wet back, then some tanner does rechrome, but most of the tanner is rechrome because though they don't produce the wet blue. I always think rechrome is better so that to make uniformity within batches or anything. Then they do a neutralization, starts with resins, 1 or 2 resins, either before or after neutralization, and different type of retaining agents, which includes fillers and extracts and whatever, naphthalene, everything, whatever the market, everything, they try to give options of 4 to 5. And then they go for the dyes, and then they have to have fat liquors and traditionally refix. So this is what I think is a traditional formulation happening in the industry, which I think most of the people will agree. So what we have done to our formulation is, we will see later how do you identify those chemicals, but this is what basically our process sheet looks like. So first of all, we don't rechrome our, we found in our practice, in our way, chrome is only for preservation. Chrome helps to preserve the leather. And then whenever we check the boil test. Once the boil test is fine, we hope there is the chrome is sufficient enough in the leather to start with.
Shayappan?
Yes, sir.
Sorry for interruption. If you can come closer to your mic, because there is some interruption in your voice.
Okay.
Yeah, please proceed, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So we found that rechroming is not necessary for our process, our leather. So we started doing trials with chrome and without chrome in 2012. We found that there was no variations within the leather. So we initiated not to do any chrome in the leather, which is then you have to wet back, you have to remove, then add more chrome, and then again we have to fix it. We stop near 3 or 4 hours of process and more chemical for our types of leather and found our way. And most importantly, the more chrome you put into leather, it doesn't get fixed. Once the chrome tanning uptake is done, mostly this chrome, once we do the further process after utilization, fat liquor, fixing, final washing, these excess chromes always comes out in different stages of the bath. Anybody wants to check, we can always check with rechrome and without rechrome. The chrome keeps oozing out of every single drain after process. You do neutralization, you do wet back, the chrome keeps on coming. Even without chroming also, there will be enough chromes in every single drain till the final washing. Even after dyeing, you can see the chrome keep on coming from our process. So rechrome will only add to this, and finally the chromes get more into the sludge, which every government wants to try to minimize minimum usage of chrome into the process as well as into the disposable sludge. So we thought this is the way to start with, and we found we are making white leather. We are also making bright colors, everything. We never had any problem so far. So I'm just sharing my experience so that if people have stopped it, it's fine. If anybody is doing it, please try to do some samples with chrome and without rechroming and see. You should not see any difference. Then how we start with the wet pack, we adjust the pH in that itself so that we don't use a separate neutralization bath in most of our process. And then we drain wash and then starts some process. We have like soft leather, we add only 1 retanning, and a smooth, we add only 2 types of retanning agents. And then we go for the dye and fat liquors, generally 2 fat liquors, depends upon in the smooth and the soft. And then in our process, we try to add resin at the end before fixing. While we absorb resin at the end, because we feel that resin adding at the beginning always gets filled and close the fibers. Resin is basically a glue type character, which we think is glue, which reduces the penetration of further chemicals, especially retanning into the leather fibers. So we thought adding resin before fixing helps us. So in our process, we always add resins at the end before fixing. So you can see this is what we run our process. And then up later chart, you can see the timings of the process, how we are doing this. Right now, this is our pattern of process, what we are doing. This is all for non-waterproof. Waterproof slightly changes. This is all for the non-waterproof. Once we do this, you can see when you have less retannings, less fat liquor, we think duplication of chemicals is being minimized. So our arithmetic is always simple. So no big calculations, simple calculations we are trying to do. Which again, we always appreciate less variable chemicals means the leather fibers is more hungry, more can uptake and go into the leather fibers. Simultaneously, more uptake results in less chemicals into the water. And wherever you put more variable chemicals, the affinity changes. Some get penetrated, some get absorbed, some get fixed only on the surface and mostly goes into the water, which results in higher pollution load. And again, I'm telling, we are a tannery with an pollution plant. So whatever we put, we have clean. So every single chemical, every single percentage we add to the purpose and make sure the exhaustion is very good. So this is what we think is good and is successful for our system. Hopefully, if anybody else follows, also they can also find it will be useful for the tannery. And most importantly, everybody does samples to the customer. So if they start in sample stage, for time of time, they will be confident, and these samples goes into the customers for leather as swatches. And we can always make sure the same formulation from 3 months, 6 months from now can be the production formulation. So very difficult to change your production. We can this way try to do in samples, and then we can see the results. Any fine tune can be done. If you can see, it's only 1 or 2 types. If we need to add something, we can check the leather, check the water, and then add. If it goes into the leather, we can feel the leather and see the water is more clear, then I think no problem. If it is, if the color of the water goes darker, definitely the chemical, what you are adding more is not going into the leather. So this is an example what we do. We can use different names and how we choose our chemicals. For example, starting from the left to right. Oh, this one is right to left. This is correct? Yeah, this is starting from right to left. So what we generally do is take one chemical, say 3%, just mix in water and see before the process what is the color of the chemical. On next chart, you can see we do the COD and TDS of this water before adding this chemical into the drum. So this is a sample. So we take small cuttings, small pieces into small sample drum and run this trial. So the second bottle of the right side shows after running for 45 minutes of the same chemical, that is the water before fixing. And the third bottle is after fixing. So the second row of chemicals starts with same chemical, 2% of water before adding to the drum, after running for 40 minutes, like vice versa. You can see the third bottle, the right row is 1% fixing. The last bottle on the same rows is 4% chemical and fixing. So as the chemical increases, same leather, same running time, the percentage you can see the more chemical starts to go into the final drain water. So the tannery has to decide which level has to stop. And we thought 3 to 4% is a maximum of adding any individual chemical into the water. The more we start adding, the affinity starts to come down. Even though we fix the pH, we have fixed the leather, the affinity starts to come down, more chemical goes into the effluent. And to start with this trial, I just want to explain one more time. We took a 5 pH neutralized leather, one leather, and cut it into different pieces. So this leather is the same for that particular chemical. So we take cuttings at 5 pH chemical, 5 pH on the leather, and no other water, only this leather, and we can add like 50% water and add this chemical. So no other variables involved in this. So cuttings, chemicals, and running time, and fixing. So we can see each and every chemical. After drying, we can also feel the leather and see what is the chemical has done to the leather. How much color has been changed, how the character has come, whether it's been filling, it's been softer, it is hard. To some extent, we can always easily judge the character of the chemical by doing like this way. So each and every chemical, for fat liquors, retanning, everything we do. Second slide is another. First was a powder chemical. The second is the liquid chemical. This is also the liquid Sintan. Again, to start with this side, sorry, we are starting with from the left. So the third bottle is the raw chemical, 1%. The second, from that to the left is after running for 45 minutes, and the third bottle is after fixing. So again, 1%, 2% set, 3% set, 4% sets. So every chemical we do like this. We feel the leather, we see the water. If water is clear, and we are going to show you the slide of testing results. Then on the lower side, then I think this chemical is good for leather and good for the water. Further, these waters are taken into the trial lab, ETP lab, and see how this chemical drain water behaves in the pollution plant. Whether it's able to, on clarifying tank, when you add chemicals, it's able to settle to the sludge, or when it passes through the clarifier tank, when it goes to the biological tanks, how this chemical get reacted in the biological tanks. Same thing we did fat liquor. So choose one fat liquor, starts again for the left, 1% fat liquor. It's not moved. Yeah. So now we can see one example of a fat liquor. It starts from the left. So 1% fat liquor without application, then after 45 minutes, then fixing. Same with 2%, 3%, and 4%. So after running 4%, we also try the leather, see the fat liquor feel, whether it creates looseness to the leather or doesn't create looseness. And we can also see the water. Excuse me. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. So why that is an example of what we did. So what we are doing to find from this. So first we take chemical raw and then diluted it and then check for its COD and TDS content of the chemical. Then the same thing with liquor, we have to check for the clarifying. So it's all in a trial, it's a lab setup we have in our cannery. We try for the clarification as well as the biological degradability. And if you find any from the start to the end, if the chemical degradation from the COD level comes at least to the 70%, more than 70% is good. If less than 70%, then the reactivity is not good. The ETP plant, we try to not use the chemical into process. So we have to see a rough balance between biodegradability in the ETP plant as well as making good leather. For me, pollution plant is number one. We are a tannery with a pollution plant first, then is the leather making. Because now without pollution plant properly not working, the tannery cannot run nowadays. Everybody knows that. So for us, biodegradability is as good as important. If there is so many people there in the market, we can keep on trying some samples, and which sample is best, we can always choose. This is one example. So as we saw the picture, this is one example of a Sintan and a fat liquor. So what we try to do is run for 45 minutes after fixing. That water, we take it and do it in our trial lab. Before starting, that rainwater had a 1580 COD, which also had an 8000 TDS. Then after trial doing the dosage of a chemical, what we add is NaOH and FeSO4. The COD comes down, but by adding chemicals, TDS, you can also see these salts also add TDS to the water. And the reduction rate is 35 for the chemical for the clarifying tank. And the same water of 1025 COD, we try to do it in a lab of bit like similar biological tank, what we have with the bacteria tank in the pollution. We try to run for 12 hours. We can see from 1025, that particular chemical comes down to 350. And TDS almost remains the same, little less. So from that stage to this stage, there's a 66% reduction in bacterial action. So overall reaction, we can see from the beginning of the drain water to the end, there is a 78% reduction of COD. In China, so far the TDS is not a factor. Basically, COD is a factor. TDS comes as a part of the process. So this is a simple chemical. So this we get 78% reduction. Same, we took an example of one fat liquor. It started with the dry water has 1659 COD. After the first dose, it becomes 1300, and after the bacterial action becomes 415. So we see a 75% reduction overall from the dry water to the end. So what we have done also, we have mentioned it clearly. The leather we tried is after neutralization, add 3% of the chemical, run for 45 minutes, and then fix with 0.5 formic acid to get the pH around 4. Because single chemical, less reaction, so easily we are able to get 4 at 0.5 formic acid. So the dosage used in the clarifying tank, we are adding, say, 1.6 liters. This big 3%, we have started to use bigger cuttings. The initial exhaustion, we are doing small cuttings. This one we tried like 1 skin, 2 skins. So that we can always use back the skin into the big productions, mix it up. So we take like 3 skins, 4 skins in one sample run and try this stage. So we have enough water for trying this. So we have 1.6 liters water samples to start with dry. So we're adding 10% NaOH, raising the pH up to 10, and then adding the ferrous sulfate to 7.5. A simple process. You can see by your naked eye the precipitation happens and the sludge has been removed. So we take the surface water for further bacterial action. The bacterial actions is run for 12 hours with a DO of 1.5 and MSS count is up around 2500 with SP and everything. So this is similar to what we run in our plant, but in a simple like a fish tank type of setup with an oxygen control. So it cannot give to 100% right, but it will be 75 to 80% close of what we can see in small dosages, because individual chemicals we are treating. So it's good to know that what is happening for the chemical in my pollution plant. We saw what is happening to the leather. We now also should see what is happening to the pollution plant. So once we do this, we complete a full trial of by simplification and optimization to see which chemical suits my leather and also which chemical suits my pollution treatment plant. So once I continuously do this, checking the leather, checking the water optimization, over a period of time, I started to see good results. This presentation was a simplified version was presented at LWD meeting at 2018 or 17 at Hong Kong. So we started from 2012, we were summering up to 2018 at that time. So today, as of 2020, what is happening from 2018 also I have given you a status. So for our first example, cow super soft floater, this we can call is our 40% or 50% production of this leather. This one leather we are making 30 to 40% minimum every year for all the brands. At 2012, you can see we had a returning of 7%. We didn't have any resins, but we have fat liquor up to 22% to make the leather, which I always said this is our way of making. At that time, we thought this was right. So when we thought, okay, what else we can do to improve our efficiency, we started to think this way of trials. So slowly, every year, slowly start at 2017-18, we stopped and see where we are. We can see the results. We reduce our returning from 7 to 1, and then fat liquors from 22 to 14. And simultaneously, if we go below, we were using 2000% of water in 2012 and reduced to 1000% at 2018. The running time was nearly 16 hours at 2012. This is a super soft floater, even milled. So it need longer time to get that softness and milling at the time we thought. Then we started reducing one by one. We came up to 850 minutes. It's roughly 1.5 hours less. Now 2020, still we thought we can fine tune the leather. So small adjustment here and there. Fat liquor we have reduced. Retanning because of tightness, because we changed our finishing system. At 2018, we were fully on spray. Now on later part we can brief you, but now we moved our production 80% raw quarter. So which needs a little bit more load on the finish at one time. So we need a little bit retanning to hold up the finish, heavy finish at one stroke. So we added a little bit soft retanning, a little bit of resin to hold up the grain. But in the meantime, we also reduced fat liquors. So overall, we have reduced the percentage from 15 to 14 from 2020. But in the meantime, we also reduced water from 1000% to 630, and the running time is another 45 minutes less. So this less water also helped for the beating and also helped me on the softness. So this is what one leather we have done. Same thing, we have a fine build process. We started with 90.5 and now with 13% overall. And water you can see come down and the running time. We also are running a smooth leather, which we are using like 10% retanning before with resins at 6.5 and Padlick at 10%. Right from 27%, we have come down to 14.5. This is smooth leather, full grain smooth leather. Then we also have split productions. This is a fashion split, what we make. So we started 16% raw with at 11% of 3% retanning and 8% fat liquor. And every time we have to see the water, we are using abundant water for washing, complete washing, excess water. We also started focusing on water. This is water keeps low to the pollution plant. And while we fix the chemical properly, we keep on diluting the water to the pollution plant. We thought it waste. So we reduce the water. So we also reduce the water. So from 1600, we are at 560% of water. And also by this, less chemicals, we also need less running time, less washing, less running time. We are at 530. We also run some goat build leathers. So we start from 27 to 15 and see the water content from 1350 to 675 overall. And the running time also has come down 30%. So this does not happen in one day. It cannot happen in one day. So every time, everybody who wants to optimize has to do some samples and see which chemical works less. What happens if we take that chemical out of the process and see whether it affects the leather or not, whether we need so much chemical, different types of chemicals into leather. So many chemicals cannot be absorbed at the same time. So these are the things as a tanner, technicians has to run on their own and see what is required for them. Definitely, if you see individually all the chemicals with the leather and the drain of the water, definitely every technician, everybody can definitely reduce their second percentage of chemicals. And whenever I say chemicals, it does not mean only reduction of chemicals and cost. It's a chain reaction. It's a chain reaction in a tannery. Once you do something, simplify and do things well, it connects to different aspects of running a tannery in administration way, technical way, and an environmental sustainable way. So what we generally say, leather processing is basically chemistry. And this chemistry goes to the pollution, we need a biological actions. So chemistry and biology together forms the tannery. And this chemistry, whatever we use in the leather processing, has to be degraded by the biology. That's what we have seen by testings. So the chain reaction, what I talked about is like this. The shorter process means less selective quality chemicals, which definitely will lead into good leather, which is everybody wants. When you do shorter process, shorter chemicals, and of course, less chemicals means less money and less load to the pollution plant. When there is less load in the pollution plant, the spending of money in the pollution plant also comes down. So we save on chemicals and we save on an ATP. And next thing, where the more chemicals you drain, the first thing happens in the pollution plant is the clarifying process, sedimentation process, where all the chemicals goes into the sludge. And now everybody knows how difficult to dispose the sludge. So we can see that in 2015, not 2012, we were producing at 0.7 kilograms for every meter square of leather we produced. And 2018, by this kind of simple optimization, you can check it is not going for the production value. It's going for every meter square we produce. We produce similar type of leather, similar proportion. Our proportion doesn't change. Has come down to 0.35 in 2018. And further in 2 years, we still brought up bit by bit, 0.5, 0.5, checking every drum, every load. We are now at 0.22. We think we are very good in it. We may not be the best, but definitely we were best from where we are. So you can also see it's a chain reaction. It starts with chemistry, biology, cost, and now disposal and the environmental impact. And shorter process in shorter lead time. Then you can do quick process. Instead of a long process, we can do quick process, so shorter lead time. When you do shorter lead time, the energy comes down, the water consumption comes down. And when you select new chemicals, you need to keep so much inventory of chemicals, the less inventory of chemicals. And when you have less variable chemicals, the less probability of mistakes. And every batch will be consistent. And it's easy for you to study your weakness. Every tannery, every industry, every business has to study its weakness. So this also helps. And leather making is now exported all parts of the world. So restricted substance becoming very important part of the leather. So less variable chemicals, less chances of RSL failure. More chemicals, you don't know what happens with chrome 6, formaldehyde, everything might fail here and there. So finally, now previously leather testing is a part of thing. Now chemical testing is also part. Everybody has to submit for ChemIQ or ZDSC, MRSL2 testings is going to be mandatory to do business for big brands for other countries by 2020. More the chemicals, more the testings you have to do, we ask supplier to do. This will help to identify the less testing and have less inventory. So it's a completely chain reaction. And finally, if you do everything, less overheads for the industry. Every year, the overheads keeps on going and the margin keeps on coming less. So we save money at the initial stage. It helps all over the place from the environmental to the business point of view to the future point on chemical testings also. And when we do this, we can also see, just want to share our environmental level right now. This has been almost stable last 4 years. So first line is a standard for China, and this testing methods what they are following up, starting from pH to chlorides, and the below is our average, consistent, more enough for the last few years. And we also need to remember, whenever we reduce water, the concentration of the chemicals goes more. Water will go down, but the concentration is a little bit more. So, but still, in spite of that, also we are able to achieve these levels. And we do not have any tertiary filters. We do not have any RO, any kind of filters, carbon filters in our plant. We do a traditional way. Because we give less load to the pollution, for us, it's easy to achieve this kind of results. And costings previously I did it in exact US dollar cents, but now I thought it's a company internal thing, so I just presented it. The first 40 leathers called Cow Super Floater leather. It's nearly 52% reduction in chemical cost over from 2012 to 2020. We are doing a 50 to 16 million. We are doing 20 million, and if we are making this leather around 10 million square feet, if I say approximately comes around, I say 8 to 10 cents, say we can save around $800 to $1 million years only on one product. But it takes time, patience, and the industry leather is the boss. We have to feel we can put less first, and then we can add little bit to see which optimal level you need. And definitely you will be surprised or happy to see you don't need the same chemicals what we are doing before. The other rest will be adding to the next 50%. Even that it's to 35 to 40%. That will add another $600 to $800, $1,000. So everything what we have done is resulting now in the cost for tannery. So our good results. While we're doing this, I did not go too much into the finishing because finishing is different for different people. Still, we are saying that once we simplify the process, less the mistakes. So I can go in a very high speed in production so that I am very sure that mistakes won't happen. Because we have the checkpoints everywhere in our process. So we are able to do from the drum, we start by 5th day, the crust will be ready, and the next 4 days it will be ready. The finishing also, we move more towards the roller coater. As I told you, it's so-called one step. So we can pass the leather at one stage and finish the leather at other stage, other point. Within 2-3 minutes, one skin of the leather will be ready. So these are all small things we have been keep on identifying, adding value to the leather, not compromising the quality of the leather. But when we do roller coater, we of course save a lot of money in the finishing also. We all know traditional spraying against HVLP guns, roller coater is the best. 100% of the chemicals goes into the leather. No wastage, no bouncing. Even HVLP guns give only 60 to 70% efficiency. But this is nearly 99% efficiency. So by that, we are proud to say we are doing in 9 working days comfortably any level start from blue to finish. We are talking about a 1.5 million square feet average annually. This is only possible because I simplified my process and I make sure that every chemical I add goes into the leather properly, which led to less mistakes and I told speed production. Shorter lead times means activity of less people, more work, more time you take, you need more people, and high productivity and time management, which definitely is my company overheads at this point of bad times. This kind of results helps the management, which can clearly shows when the production will come down according to us for the coming months, which will not affect our company overheads too much because of this hard work we have done for the previous years. So this is my final conclusion. As I told, not a term. Yeah. So benefits, the process optimization definitely leads to reduced cost, chemical usage, simultaneously with energy and water. When it reduces water, it also helps to have good treatment at the end, because less water we have more time to treat with the same capacity of the ETP plant. And when the load is less, we can easily achieve the environmental regulations comfortably, consistently. That's very important. And the probability of RSL failures, and very easy to identify if something goes wrong in RSL or the quality of the leather, and helps easy to test chemicals when you have less inventory and less options. So that's my presentation. So wherever we are a tanner, my boss is, I forget to say, Andy Flickman. He's 75 years old. He's in the industry for the last 50 years. His goal, his motto, his vision is always clean environment. Leather has to be made in a proper way. Even this is a better way, but there could be more ways of competing in the future. So we have to do leather in a proper way for the saving the environment. And as an aged person, he wants to deliver this to the leather industry. If anybody likes it, wants to pick up, we feel happy, because we doesn't do this for any commercial works, for marketing. Just we want to share. We think it's giving result. Definitely, he wants me to present this case to the industry, so that anybody who sees, learns, or gets some 1%, 5%, 10% helpful for their running the tannery, running their business, we are really very proud. So thank you. Thanks for Mr. Vishwa and the whole team for giving me the opportunity to present. And if any questions, any doubts, we can always ask me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ayyappan. This is like going like a U-turn from 7% Syntan to 2%.
Yeah.
Oh,